do. So I thought I'd share with you some of my roles in life. So here I am, the founder of Fitmums and Friends, and this is quite a cheeky photograph, but this was a lovely presentation made to me on our 10th anniversary in 2009. I mean, this is what very important people get when they're dead, I think, but I'm very lucky to get a pretend one, and I'm still here. So as it says on there, I started Fitmums and Friends in 2009, and I will look at a little bit of the background of that as we go through. But that is one of my roles. I still also work in the NHS. I still have 2 jobs at this moment. Hopefully that will change soon. And you'll notice through all these pictures, the one thing that doesn't change is the size of my hair. Can't do anything about that, I'm afraid. I'm also a run leader, so that was a very new role that I came to as a result of founding Fitmums and Friends. It's something I'm absolutely passionate about. If you ask me, I'm a nurse by background. One of the best jobs in life is seeing somebody run their first mile. It is the best feeling in the world. So I particularly love this role. I am also an athletics coach, and I think it's fair to say I know that the athletics world struggles to recruit women to coaching, and I'm a great example of that hesitant person who didn't think that I could ever actually be a coach. And along with another colleague of mine who I think may be in the room tonight, Fee, we became the first female coaches for Fitman. So that is definitely something I'm very, very proud of. And so tonight that brings me a level of expertise around exercise, but I think it's really important to let you know I'm not by any means an expert professional. So all that I tell you tonight is very much coming from my coaching background, and nothing more than that. Here, my most important role in life is I'm a mum. So I'm a mum to Ollie, who's just turned 18, and Emmy, who's just turned 16. So, you know, there can't be a better role in life, and obviously really important. But like a lot of women of my age going into menopause, we also end up perhaps encountering new roles in life. So I unfortunately walk in the shoes of a bereaved person. So my lovely husband Mike there, he died just over a year ago. And so as well as encountering everything else you have to with the menopause, it's that time of life, isn't it, when many other things might be happening. Some of you may be having more elderly parents to look after, or managing with children leaving the nest and all that entails. So whatever role you have in life, you know, it can be an extra challenge when you add the menopause into that. Oh, and I had to put this up because they said I had to, but I don't want you to think I'm showing off or anything. But here's another new role. Apparently, I'm a little bit of a hero, which is, if anybody saw it on the telly, was completely unknown to me. It's been the most amazing moment, and I'm really enjoying making sure that all the heroes I work with, of which there are so many, because every volunteer is a hero, and I'm just making sure at the moment that the trophy gets round to all the volunteers across the network. So I'm quite busy at the moment taking that around. So hopefully that explains me a little bit. And it's fair to say, I want you to be reassured that, you know, I am no amazing athlete. I am very much a very ordinary human being that sometimes can run and sometimes can't. So, you know, I'm not coming from this with a very professional background, but one of passion and enthusiasm to be active. So when we look at the why, obviously, I'm sure everybody will know that exercise is good for us. And there are 2 main reasons, really, and that being around the physical, but also the mental. And of course, as we go into menopause, the physical is linked to this increased risk of osteoporosis, which is weakened bones, and that being due to the reduced levels of estrogen. So regular exercise is really crucial in terms of, you know, minimizing the impact of that, but also in protecting against other conditions, which we need to be concerned about anyway, but things like a heart disease and diabetes and stroke and all of those. So there are good reasons that we should be active. And I think possibly one of the things I hear almost most is the impact of menopause on our mental health. So those increased levels of anxiety, depression, the brain fog, all of that has a massive, massive impact. And again, exercise can be instrumental for some people in helping to minimise that. Now, one of the organisations I'll talk about through tonight is an organisation called Women in Sport, which is a charity which champions women and particularly around sport. And they've done some research which is really helpful, actually. And one of the things that they found out that actually 84% of menopausal women want to be active. Actually, the majority are not. So what I like is the fact that 84% of menopausal women want to be active. So there's an intent there, there's a desire, and I think it's our job to look at what can we do to help that become reality. And I hope that through some of the work we've done at Fitmums, we are creating those opportunities. So, we'll have a look at that as we go through. So being more active can help with some of the symptoms, and I know this will vary from person to person, but generally speaking, it's believed that it could help in terms of reducing flushes, managing weight, your mood, improving self-esteem, helping with sleep and reducing anxiety. Now, obviously, that they will be affected if exercise is regular. It's not going to necessarily be effective for one-off, episodes of exercise. It's that regularity of exercise. So I think what's really important is that it's finding what works for you. Exercise needs to be fun. It needs to be something you look forward to doing. How many of us at this time of year are thinking, "Oh, I need to do something. It's time to get back to the gym." And if you're not doing the thing that you love, it's just not going to last. So to get the benefit on symptoms, the exercise needs to become part and parcel of your everyday life. So that's something really important to consider. So we have got there's three elements of exercise that are really important to consider. So there's the three elements. Obviously, probably the cardiovascular is the one that you will be really familiar with. So the one that is going to really increase your heart rate and get that blood pumping around the body. So your cardiovascular is important. But your muscle strengthening and weight bearing is also really crucial, and is often something that's forgotten in terms of the whole package of what you should be looking to do. So in terms of muscle strengthening, these are the movements you do when you're moving your muscles against resistance. So it could be a little bit of weightlifting, but it doesn't have to be as much as that. It could be the use of resistance bands or body weight exercises. That's what's really crucial. And also weight bearing means any exercise where you support your own body weight, either through your feet or your legs or even your arms and your hands. So things like walking, jogging, dancing, tennis, they can all be weight bearing. Now, my background is as a cardiac nurse, and one of the things we used to teach our parents post heart attack when we were rehabbing them was about the talk test. And this is still really, really a useful little tip for when you're exercising, because some people will often say, "I don't really know, how fast I should be going or what pace I should be going at." And the really, really simple guide to this is the talk test. So if you can walk along and you're out of breath and you can't catch your breath at all, then you're maybe working too hard. So if you can walk along and sing a song, then that's you're walking too slowly because you can sing a song. But what you want to be able to do is walk along and have a chat with the person next to you. That is good because it needs to be fun, it needs to be sociable. So if you can walk and chat, that is good. If you can walk and sing a song, you've maybe got too much puff, so up it a bit. If you walk and you're gasping for breath, maybe take the foot off the pedal a bit. So hopefully that might just be a little helpful test as to the level to work at in order to get all the benefits from the exercise that you're doing. And obviously you'll probably have seen, and I won't go into it now because I don't want to repeat what might have happened, but the recommendations about exercise, about how much you do, 150 minutes a week of the cardiovascular, and 2 days, on at least 2 days of doing the muscle strengthening as well. So here we go. So the bone strength is what's really important. So the osteoporosis is the condition that causes our bones to become weaker. So what we basically want to do, we need to be making our bones stronger, and by making our muscles stronger, we'll be supporting our bone network. So that's important. And if we can keep active, we can reduce the risks of breaks and fractures if you do fall. So it's really, really crucial. And the muscle strengthening, the exercises you do for that, and the weight bearing exercise is essential. Now, on that picture there, what you can see, it's a lot of bottoms. I'm sure they won't like me showing that picture, will they? But this is just going through a warm up at a Fitmums session. It's actually a training session, and they're all doing a squat. And I'm just looking, they've all got the heels down. That's great. And the bodies are upright. So even something as simple as a squat, which you can do while you're making a cup of tea, even that will be helpful. I did have a bright idea in the office at the end of last year that we would do 10 squats on the hour every hour in the office in order to break sitting at the desk all day like we do. It was a great idea, and I think by the end of the day we'd done 60 or so squats. The only problem was the next day my lovely colleague Vicky couldn't walk. So, you know, think carefully how you might fit your muscle strengthening exercises in, but really, really important. So let's have a look at, I thought it might be helpful to see where we come from and the story of Fitmums. So many of you will know this story, so I apologise if I'm repeating it for the millionth time, but I was a lonely mum. I know I sound very sad, but I'm quite happy to tell you I was a lonely mum. And I had been in a running club before I'd had the kids, but never managed to get back there because the times that they met weren't really suitable for having young children that I wanted to bath and bed and all of that. So that was one thing, but also my body and my head at that stage. It's funny, isn't it, to think that when Fitmums started, I was a young mum with very young children, and I'm now at a completely different phase of life. But Fitmums and Friends is still working for me wherever it seems to be that I am. So, but my body and head weren't in the same place. I'd got a body that definitely wasn't the same, but I had a head that was different. I didn't want to be running to get a PB and to enter races. What I wanted more than anything was to get out of the house and talk to people and you know, have that connection with people. So the book bag flyer went in my son's class, thanks to his lovely teacher, and then people turned up on my doorstep one night, and it very quickly grew. So I think this picture was taken in about the Easter after we started in the February, and it was not long after this that we had to stop meeting on my drive because it was getting a little bit too much for my neighbours. So that's how it started. Everybody was mixed abilities there, and it was, as it says on the slide there, a very unintentional story to end up in the situation that I'm in now, because really all I wanted was a friend. So we're now at a situation, I think, where we went from those 5 on the driveway to basically now a sea of pink with a little bit of blue in there. So we are all now pink. So when I say a little bit of blue, it doesn't mean that our boys are not part of us. They very much are. Very important that everybody understands that Fitmums and Friends is not a female-only club. It's for everybody. The and friends is really important. So we grew a bit. We grew so much that we now have 11 clubs across Yorkshire and also into North East Lincolnshire, and actually we need to update the map because we've got 2 new clubs starting very soon in Howden and Pocklington, so we need to get a few more flags out there. So it grew, and it grew because people wanted this very simple but effective support. People wanted to know that they were going to be looked after and supported, and it didn't matter what pace they ran at, because it genuinely doesn't. So it's been as much a surprise to me as to anybody that we've changed from what was happening on my drive to this map of pink flags. And this is what we offer. So running, walking, running was always the main thing. And people who couldn't run came to me and said, Sam, just love the buzz. I want to be a part of it, but absolutely can't run. Can we walk? So yes, we set up a walking section, and now nearly all our clubs have fitness walking sections. And the walk is really intended to be a cardiovascular walk. So it's not meant to be a leisurely paced walk. It is with the intention of getting that cardiovascular benefit. And then in latter years, we started the cycle squad. So we have 1 cycle squad in Cottingham. But even the activities that we offer have grown. So we now just recently have introduced Nordic Walking. I just love this picture. So this is a very recent Wednesday night. They're a very hardy bunch. They're not put off by the dark. So here you can see them trekking through the woods at the back of Cottingham. And Nordic Walking is an especially good exercise because of the upper body workout that you get through using the poles. So we've got a great team. We've got 7 instructors who are delivering sessions in Cottingham and Beverley, and it's an exciting new addition to our offer of activity. And we've always had buggy sessions. So we have a buggy session in East Park, where it's a walking or running session depending on ability, and then we have an indoor boot camp. And these sessions are intended to make exercise accessible to parents with children, preschool children, because it was something that I didn't have when I had my little ones, and we didn't have family around to help. So this would have been a dream to me to have had this level of support. But you also don't have to have a buggy to go to either of these sessions. So if you fancy a Thursday morning walk in East Park, you can bob along, and the boot camp is on a Friday lunchtime. As I say, you don't need to have a buggy there. So we've really extended what we offer, and we're able to do that through a network of trained leaders and coaches, and these are in the most volunteers. The leaders are all volunteers, and they span all of those 11 clubs, and they are really what makes the magic happen, because they turn up week in, week out, and they make sure that people feel safe, welcomed, supported, doing the appropriate exercise, and that's so important. In 2012, we started to develop things for children, because at that time, Mike couldn't bear it if I'd have said we did anything else, but had been itching to do something for kids, because there was a natural synergy between getting mums and dads more active to kids wanting to be involved. So we went to the Olympics. It was so inspiring that I came back and I said, Mike, please let me do something for the kids. So he had to give in, because he was equally as passionate as I was, really. I think it's just that he would have liked to have seen me on occasion. So we got the children's section going, and it's through that we've developed a network of coaches, which has been something I feel particularly proud of. And we now coach at sessions across Beverley, Hull, hang on the screen, and also at Costello. And we started coaching children from as young as 5 from the very beginning. And it was interesting that it was years later, when the sports strategy changed, the Sport England sports strategy, that they recognised that it was important to start working with children as young as that. So we also feel quite proud that we realise that children at 5 want to be active as much as any other child. And as I said before, I just love this picture. These 2 boys are very proud to wear their pink Fitmums and Friends vests. And I love the fact that they'll even take it in a race, that we'll be shouting them on, and we'll be shouting, "Go on, Fitmums!" And they just love it. So everybody is generally happy to wear the pink, and we're all just one organisation doing our bit to support each other. So we have expanded, on top of the clubs that we've just looked at, we have a number of different programs now, and this is just an example of one. And our bereavement programs have sadly stemmed from my experience of being bereaved, but within this last year we've set up bereavement walks, and they're incredibly powerful. So it's a question of walking and talking, and all the therapy naturally happens on the walk, and it brings people together with shared experience, and it's really having an amazing impact. So these walks are running all through the rest of the year. We've got funding for the rest of the year, and we've also started some yoga for grief sessions, and that's also really, really powerful. So some other things we do as well are we also run sessions for people with visual impairment. So they have 3 activity sessions a week, including a session at Costello on the track, and a circuit session as well. So there's lots and lots going on. This is another recent new programme. So this is giving bereavement support to children, but set in a forest. So it's called the Forest Project, and it takes children into the forest, gets them doing all those amazing forest activities, but there's grief support interwoven into it. And the power of that is very similar to the power of the adult sessions, is they're meeting other children who are in a similar situation to themselves. So we're quite busy, I think it's fair to say. So Women in Sport is this organisation that is basically trying to affect change based on the understanding the needs and aspirations of women. And they've done some research which found out that just under a third of women drop off from physical activity during menopause. But as we saw at the beginning, the desire to be active is high. 84% want to be active, but a lot drop off. But obviously, the research that they did, reinforced the fact that physical activity can help women manage and cope better with their symptoms. And they see this as the menopause as a significant opportunity to reintroduce and support physical behaviours. So I quite like that, and I think everything that Sarah and Lucy are doing is very much around trying to make this a positive period in life. It's a time when, yes, change is happening, and yes, we have to adapt to change. But actually, some of that change can be for the better. So what happened is Women in Sport created some recommendations for how they could recommend that sports providers could accommodate menopausal women. So there are certain things that will make it easier for a woman to feel that she can join in an activity. So what I've done now is I've taken those recommendations and I've linked them to how we do certain things at Fitmums and Friends, so that you can see how important some of these key things are. But I just want to reassure everybody in the room, I'm not here to make you run or make you walk or make you go to a boot camp. So my passion is to support anybody to be more active doing what they like. And we've got such a fantastic range of options locally. We have something called the Get Hull Active website, where you can basically find out what's happening in your area or find out about a particular sport. So don't feel as we go through this, I am pushing it for Fit Mums, because it's so important you do what's right for you. Everybody's still okay? Sarah, just nod if it's everything okay. I'd say why not. So here's two of the recommendations. So empower women to feel change is good, and being active can be a new beginning. And align offers to women's core values, because we want to feel good and we want to look good. And I speak from experience, saying sometimes that's really hard in the menopause, and the effect on your body, the effect on your energy levels, or the juggling of all the roles that you may have in life. So I think these are really important. So some of the ways we approach this, I think we understand the fear is really important, in that how scary is it if you decide you're going to do whatever activity you're going to do, and the hardest bit is getting there on that first night, walking through the door, committing yourself to that. And we really, really understand that. So we try our very best to make the experience of coming along to a session as painless as possible. So we have systems in place, which I will talk about later, but we also have really simple features, such as somebody standing there with a welcome paddle to look after you. And the other thing at the top there, which is about to start next week, is we have programs that recognise, and it's called Chair to Anywhere for a reason, that I reckon, well, the research tells us there are women sitting in chairs at the moment thinking, I really want to do something, or I know I need to do something. And we have a program where we take somebody sitting in that chair to wherever they want to go. So it's very individualised. So you decide that you want to run a mile, that can be your ultimate goal. If you decide that you know that you just need to be active 3 times a week, well, that can be your goal too. So whatever it is, we'll try and take you there. And we have a system called In the Pink, which is for people who know they want to be more active, but for whatever reason, something is getting in the way of helping you walk through that door. So this support is often well, you may like this, because for this one, you don't even have to get your trainers on. So the first thing you do is meet up in a cafe with a lovely volunteer supporter who meets you in the cafe, finds out where you're at in life, what do you want to do, what do you feel ready to do, but also has that opportunity to talk to you about all the options available. You know, is it a buggy session you fancy? Is it Nordic walking? Do you want to give a go of the running? Do you want to be in a program? All of that. And it starts in a cafe and helps you to make individualized goals. And the really important thing is that that individual you meet will then meet you at 3 sessions and be with you on a one-to-one basis. So you don't have to be on your own. We do some mood validation because what we always want to do is try and demonstrate that what we do is effective. And very often people come to this scheme are perhaps very low in mood, are very isolated, are struggling for whatever reason. So Catherine in the picture there, she came to us recovering from breast cancer. So she realised and she read up everything that she should do to try and help her recovery. Exercise was important. She'd never done that before, particularly, and she came to us through In the Pink, and she was very anxious, having just gone through breast cancer treatment. So Catherine is a great example, but people come to us for all sorts of reasons. And so we do some mood validation in order to try and demonstrate the impact of what happens by connecting with us. So we do something at the beginning and something at the end. When we started off In the Pink, it was because we got some money to support women with postnatal depression, but it was so successful and we were able to demonstrate very quickly that by just having this extra support, it helps people achieve their goals, that we've opened it up now so that you don't actually have to have any reason to have this support. If you're just stuck and you can't get to the next step without this little bit of extra handhold, then you know this is for you. And it's free. And also, although this is the top end of our intensive support, if you were to get in contact with us and say that you're interested in coming along but you feel a bit anxious, there's lots of other things we can do. So somebody would meet you outside the venue, we could give you a phone call before you arrive. So, you know, all this is really important structure to help people feel able to come along. So another recommendation was to provide and encourage opportunities for social support. So I personally am at a stage in life where this is the most important thing. The thing that drags me out of the house to get on a run is the fact that I have a chat, I'll be in the company of other people, even if I don't want to chat, just having that chat going on around me is quite appealing, as well as all the other social aspects that I can join in with if I wish. So this is a picture of our Intergenerational Choir, which starts this Sunday. So we do this for 3 months of the year. And we do it as a fundraiser because we're a charity, but really this came about because I realised what dark and dismal months January and February are. So we put this on, we get together every Sunday, we put on a performance in March. It's the best thing ever, and it's an unusual social connection that I would never have imagined would have come out of setting up in effect what is a running club. But we also have other things. So we have a team called the Beverley Blanketeers. So they're the Beverley Fitmums, have a group who make crochet blankets. They call them woolly hugs and they give them to people who are struggling. And every club has its own social events. So it's very much more than a running club, and anybody would tell you that. So clearly women in sport know that that social connection is important, and it definitely is. And I think for some people it really helps them to feel a part of their community. So another recommendation, women in sport, is to use real stories to inspire women and break the taboo of menopause. And we also agree with that. We think it's important to tell real stories of women coming along to Fitmums to be active. And I love the fact that we're not all, you know, the right body shape, and, you know, we don't all look good in Lycra. And I think that's okay. So here's just a couple of stories that I'll just let you have a little read of. So I love this reflection that, you know, yes, we come to run, and we come certainly with our menopause heads on, we come to gain those physical benefits of exercise. But this just shows you so much, that there's so much more to it as well. And the buzz you get is amazing. I was at East Hall Fitmums this week, and a lady came back that had not been for months. It'd been 8 months, she said, since she'd last been. I was talking to her beforehand. She went off, she did her 1 mile. She managed to do the whole mile without stopping. She came back and she was, I can only say, euphoric. And, you know, that's after running 1 mile. It's just absolutely brilliant to see the impact that it had on her. And that's all it took. She was probably out building less than 20 minutes, but she came back feeling amazing. And here's another one. And these are all genuine stories and genuine feedback from people who've been through our doors. And I think it's really interesting, isn't it, to understand just what an impact being physically active can have. Sometimes, as in with this one, it's things that you just would never imagine, but it's clearly had, you know, great impact. And this is important too. That the offers for activity are flexible, with low commitment, and menopause friendly. So we have a membership system at Fitmums, and the membership is £36 for the year. And it's really important that people know that in terms of finance, if there was ever a problem about not being able to afford the membership, then you just need to let us know, because we'd never let that be a barrier ever. And now we have a Mike Barlow Memorial Fund, so we now have funds so that we can support anybody who would struggle with membership, or even if somebody had a desire to train as a run leader but couldn't afford that, then we would support that. So we can definitely support that. And there is no commitment to come to a session every week, and that's really important. I think some people think that. So it was lovely that the lady I saw this week at East Hull hadn't been for 8 months. She can walk back in the door when the time is right. There's no finger wagging, where have you been? Because life is life, isn't it? And things get in the way. And sometimes you might not get there for a couple of weeks, and then before you know it, that's turned into 2 months. But that's life, and that's fine. So one of the ways we make this flexibility and suitable for all is because the range of distances we offer. So every session you can choose to run any of these distances, and there's a dedicated leader to each distance. And we have walk options as well. So very often the walk is a 3-mile walk, but somebody tips up that can only do a mile, they would rejig it, do a mile, drop that person off, and then head back out and do the 2. So that flexibility, that level of entry, you can come in at any point, is really, really crucial. And the systems of support that I mentioned earlier are also really important. So this lovely picture of the leader holding the welcome paddle is what you will see, hopefully, the moment you walk through the door. The whole idea of this is that you don't walk into a room full of people clad in lycra. You look for the sign, and you only have to go there, and they look after you. We've done that since the very, very beginning. When we were at the Methodist Church in Potting, having left my driveway, we had fly swatters. And so even all the way back then, we recognised that that's what's so difficult for people to actually walk through the door. So let's make it easy. So we had fly swatters with labels stuck on it saying, "Welcome, are you here for the first time?" So it's a really important feature, and it's a really simple thing to do. And then we go through a checklist chat with everybody who comes through the door. So before we take a group out on a run, we check all those really crucial things. And that's important, not only just from a health and safety point of view, but also in terms of making somebody feel welcome and looked after, and to feel safe in the group. So really simple, but really crucial. Guidance and reassurance on safe physical activity, really, really important. And our leaders are brilliant at recognising sometimes when somebody might need to even drop down a group because they're pushing themselves too hard at one level, and they're having to keep stopping and walking, and they're not feeling satisfied. So we will give guidance, but also we've got a team of brilliant coaches who write training plans. If anybody wanted a particular goal, we'll write a training plan to support that. But also we talk about safety in terms of warm-up and stretching and looking after our bodies. So our leader network are brilliant. They all do a course through England Athletics. They all have a license to lead. That makes it sound very exciting. 007 style trained leaders. And they're just a brilliant resource, as well as our coaches. So our ethos is really very much that everybody fits. So that's really, really important. And I think one thing I would like us to hold in our minds. Now, can I just check, is Neil in the room?
I don't think he is, Sam.
Oh,
I
right,
haven't seen
okay.
him join.
Not worry. I'll just carry on then.
Okay.
So now you've seen all the recommendations. So those recommendations are set by Women in Sport, and that's what they're suggesting that all activity providers have an eye on in order to help more menopausal women be active. So we, working together with Sarah, we and Lucy, we personally as an organisation have aspirations around how we can support women to be more active in this stage of life. So this is just me telling you now the next little plan, the next little idea that we may have had. But we would like to create a menopause friendly activity charter whereby we find out all the amazing local providers who can fit with what Women in Sport are suggesting we need to do to help women. So we want to understand which providers can offer flexibility, great support, all the things that we've just looked at. So what we'd like to do is identify what all those range of options are. And in doing that, we'll also be educating and raising awareness with activity providers so that we're letting them know that if you want to really support women through midlife, this is what you need to do. So by creating this charter, by identifying these organisations, hopefully, ultimately, we'll have a resource where a woman in Hull and East Yorkshire can tap into a website and can see that she can do kickboxing, she can do yoga, she can do, roller skating, and she'll know that to do that, she'll be looked after in some of the ways that we've identified tonight. So that is the plan. That's what we'd like to work with and develop. And in that way, we'll be using all that great research to make something really special locally. So I suppose what I would like to say to you is that if you're thinking you need to do something, I would say to you, don't think exercise. Take that word out of it, okay? And take the word sport out of it. It's all about moving more. That's all we need to do. So when I say moving more, I'm just thinking about me having sat in the Fitmums office all day today. It's little things like if you are in an office environment, I guess most people are working at home at the moment, but if you are in the office environment and somebody comes and says, do you want a coffee? The right answer is to say, I'll come with you and get that coffee, okay? So just move away from your desk. So just try and move more. It's obviously really important to do what you enjoy because you just won't stick with it. And, it's absolutely fine to try out lots of different things. Even in Fitmums and Friends, people can come to us, they can try walking, they can try Nordic Walking now, they can do running, they can go to boot camp. You'll find what works for you. Company is always going to help. It's interesting, isn't it? This time of year in January, we'll offer, is it January? It is January. See, Menopaus'ull brain, I was thinking, oh my God, have we moved on already? In January is the time when a lot of people set their own sort of activity goals. And we have an understanding in the team that we won't see people immediately in January. We'll start to pick them up at the end of January because people will have a go on their own because they will be motivated. They'll do that. In a few weeks, they'll realise it's not much fun running in the dark on my own. I can't do it. And that's, it's towards the end of January when we start to see people and how we love to help them. So company will help. So start slowly and build up, really, really important. It's also very easy that in your enthusiasm, you go mad and you're doing it every day or 5 times a week or whatever, and then you'll start maybe to lose the love. So start slowly, build up and make it an integral part of your life. And be realistic about goals. That's one thing we also help people as coaching, as leaders. Be really realistic and just take your time and don't set yourself up to fail by jumping to the goal that's maybe 3 goals away. Start small and build up. And I think it's really important to say that, life happens, doesn't it? And sometimes you have the best intentions, but something happens and you lose your way. But, you can always start again. And what's what's the best thing is that you do start again, rather than that idea gets left behind and you don't do it. So I hope that helps in terms of thinking like that. I know that, Sarah, we were going to do an exercise session tonight, a little warm-up. I'm not dressed to do that. Do you want to see if people want... Oh, hang on a minute. Neil's coming in. Here we go.
Great timing.
I've got one thing to show you, but I'll show you that afterwards. So I'm just going to... I'll stop sharing if that's okay. And I just want to introduce Neil to you, everybody. Now, don't worry if you're in your pyjamas or whatever. You don't have to show us. Don't need to see your pyjamas. But Neil's with us in the room. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little warm-up. It's 5 minutes long, and it's just going to be a bit of fun, and it's going to include a bit of the strength stuff that we talked about, and so you can understand the nature of that. So there is Neil. Neil's an athletics coach for Fitmums and Friends, and very experienced. And so could I encourage you to stand up out of your chair? Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. You can turn your cameras off. I'll never know. Just make some noises like, ooh, 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 and then we'll believe it's happening. Right? Oh, Fee, thank you for joining us. I'm going to do it too. I'm not even dressed. I'm still in my work stuff. So, Neil, I'll hand over to you now. I'll turn my volume off so I don't puff and pant too much.
No worries. Hi, you guys. Hope you're all well. Yeah, so we're just going to do just a 5-minute mobility warm-up. Always worthwhile if you're doing any sort of exercise at all, just making sure you sort of have a decent warm-up before. Obviously, it's going to get the joints moving. It's going to raise your heart rate a little bit as well. We're not going to go too mad, but just sort of nice and steady. And hopefully you'll feel better when we have done this. So just give me 1 second. I will just move my camera down, and I will move back, and hopefully you should be able to see the whole of it. I think I've just probably got my head. Just ever slightly. I thought I had my head cut off there a little bit. Don't really want the head cut off. Cool. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to go into this warm up then, guys. So all we're going to do, just nice and simply, just a little march on the spot, just with your 5 coming up to parallel with the ground, and just swinging the arms as well. What I want you to do as we're doing this, you can give me a good thumbs up as well, just we've got our arms in a neutral position as well if we're doing that, which is cool. Okay, so just gonna like this for another 5 seconds or so. And then from there, we're just going to start swinging our arms forwards, just nice and slow and controlled though. We don't need any really quick movements, anything like that. And we're just aiming to try and get the upper arm in contact with the ears as we come. And then we're just going to go the other way as well. So same again. Rolling back. Spot on. And from there then we're just going to have one arm coming forwards now, and a little bit of coordination going on. We're just going to get the other arm going back at the same time, and then we can swap that round, so we're going the opposite way on. Good stuff. And then just start coming across your body. Sorry, I'm a little bit stiff. I had my COVID jab yesterday, and I've got a bit of stiffness in the shoulder, but we're all right. Cool. Then from there, then let's just start picking a pace, just into a little jog on the spot. Okay. Once again, we're still moving from the shoulder, so a full movement with the arms. But this time, we've got a little bend in the arms as well. And then all I want you to do, just spell out your name for me in little fairy steps. So I'm just going to make a little end there, and then I'm going to make it in. So I'm just moving all directions, and then forwards, and then I'm just making it out. So forwards, backwards, and to the side, spot on. Okay, and then just back into the little jog. Good stuff. Okay, important when you're doing this, just work within your own sort of range. Obviously, don't do anything beyond the level we're at the moment. So if we've got any sort of aches, pains, stuff like that, just work within that level. Okay, what we're going to do next then, okay, we're just hands onto our hips, and we're just going to take a step back. And then we're going to swap sides, take a step back, nice long stride. And then if you're fine with that, what we can do is just bend that back knee, and up, and bend the back knee. And we just turning that into a little lunge backwards. Important all the way through exercises, think about keeping your tummy muscles nice and tight, so we're retaining that good posture. Spot on. And from there, let's just go back into our jog again. Okay, and then all we're going to do, both feet together, don't want any height or anything on this. We're just going to do just some little bunny hops on the spot. We're just using the foot, really. We don't even have to get off the ground at all. It's just using our foot as a spring. Just going to feel nice and light and down there, spot on. Then just take that back into run again. Okay, just start bringing the knees up a little bit higher. Excellent. Right, from there then, just put our hands out in front, and we're just going to drop into a squat. Once again, just to the depth that you're comfortable with. Okay, we're just going to go through 8 of these, because that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, spot on. From there, back to your jog. And then we're going to go hands onto our hips again and just come out to the side this time. A nice stretch through this trailing leg. Just out to the side. So all we're doing with this warm-up, we're just moving sort of in ways that we're generally not used to doing, just increasing range of motion through the joints as we're warming the muscles off. So right, we've got 20 seconds left then. So first 10 seconds, just back to that steady run. And then for the last 10 seconds starting now, we'll just pick up the pace just a little bit more. 10 seconds. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and every rest there. Okay, so we've just done a little 5-minute warm up there, and hopefully it's just sort of got your heart rate up a little bit, and got all the joints lubrication, I think is a good way of putting it. Good stuff.
Thanks, Neil. That's great.
No problem.
Hope everybody's not had the tea and now, you know, the tummies are full of food rolling around. Just one more thing to show you then, everybody. So just following on from that then. So that's a great example. That was a 5-minute warm-up. That's what will happen when you come to a session. But even if you don't come to one of our sessions, it's so important to do your warm-up. It's such important preparation. So if you're going to be going off and doing your own thing, just that simple little routine that Neil's just showed you there would be so, so important for all the reasons of protecting you, keeping you safe and preventing injury. So just to finish off then, I think we're coming to the end of time. I've just got one last slide to show you, because I just want to sort of recognise what a difficult time the menopause can be, and it's not a short-term thing for many people. So just wanted to leave you with a really optimistic and understanding a few words. So I've taken this from someone called Donna Ashworth, who some of you may know, but I'm just going to let you have a read of this. So I hope that's been really helpful, and I can send the links out to the Get Hull Active website if you don't already know it. If there's anything you want from us at all, please just let us know. And I just want to wish you all the best on your menopause journey, and thank you so much for inviting us here tonight.